Good day, everybody, welcome to today's video. This is Jerry from BackCountry Wrenching, and today I've been meaning to do this video for a long time, and I'm going to take care of it right now. If you've been thinking about building your own little mini off-road trailer, I'm going to go through some of the things that I encountered with this trailer when I bought it used, and a lot of things, do's and don'ts, that I've discovered, and I would have made the same mistakes, some of them as well. So let's get started, and we're going to talk about everything that I've encountered with this trailer build and how I made it better. Let's go back to the beginning when I first picked her up. This is when I first bought the trailers, around March 20th when I picked it up. I was looking for an Overland trailer for a while, and this one looked like it's going to be a pretty good project. When I look back at this now, I'd think, man, this thing was just a big turd, to be honest. But it sure came out different now. Yeah, I'm sure glad it's not school bus yellow anymore. So if you guys remembered, and if some of the viewers pointed it out as well, that they figured that this trailer was originally built using indoor plywood, meaning because we've had a lot of issues with delamination because of water damage, and how I went through and fixed that up. So either one of the two owners before me had problems with delamination. They had repaired it with fiberglass, which the fiberglass repair were good. But the issue why this happened, not only because they didn't use the proper wood, but there's also proper steps that could have been used to prevent this from happening. So after I peeled away all the loose layers of wood and got down to where the wood was solid, I used fiberglass mat, reinforced it, then used fiberglass filler. So as you can see, after the repairs were made, I put this checker plating on, and there's also a vapor barrier behind it. And throughout the year, it's actually held up pretty good. It doesn't seem like it's trying to push out from underneath. And it looks like the repair is being held. That being said, as you can see, I put all aluminum edging around the trailer frame. That is very important. I say that because not only does it protect the edges, it also keeps water out and will stop the delamination. Not only did I put the edging on, I also siliconed it in so it's a nice waterproof seal. So if you're wondering why, when I screwed the edging in, I went totally over to the edges. That's because this trailer is assembled using 1-inch plywood. And I didn't want to drive between the two layers, so I put it over that I'd be driven on each side, and there'd be less of a chance I'd probably hit the internal screws that are holding it together. I also did not weld the seams because I did not know how much flex this trailer body would have when I'm out in the woods. And I sealed all my seams, and none of them seemed to crack, so I don't think there is any flex at all in this. We're going to talk about the front panel and why I put a sheet of aluminum over top, also with a vapor barrier underneath. So this is a perfect example. All that damage in the front, the fiberglass repairs, was all from road debris that gets sprayed up in that area. That's the reason why I aluminum filled the whole front. So as discussed in the video and from my adventures, a lot of the road spray in the front of the trailer are exactly located, as you saw in the videos, where the damage was done to the body. And correcting that, fixing it up, put that aluminum panel on is done really well. As you can see, the toolbox has taken a lot of damage from the rocks. It's starting to chip away, especially underneath. A lot of debris. You can see the corner edging right there. A lot of rock debris coming up in there. That's why also you got to be very careful protecting the edges. So the marker lights on the trailer is something that I had to correct, and this is the method I used. It's not ideal, and the issue with that is in the video the wires were ran too short, and if there was any issues I couldn't pull any extra wire out. So what I did is I managed to solder some wires. I took this little piece of channel, and there's extra wire looped in there now. So if there's any issues with these, I just drill out these rivets, pop out the light, Resawed on a new one, put it back in, riveted it, and I left it open on the sides for any moisture and shit to come through. Not ideal, but it worked for me. Getting proper size fenders is a definite must, but it actually worked out better for me because they are a little bit narrower, and I added these rubber skirts. And these rubber skirts work really well because if I get in a situation where it's too narrow for the trail I'm going to, the tire will rub, but the fender won't. So I'm not going to rip off the fender. And as you can see, the road rash is pretty bad on those fenders. Lots of rocks coming up, and that's the reason why this window had shattered, and I replaced it with a plastic window, and it seems to be working out extremely well. Going for the roof, do not use a plywood roof with rubber paint, as I'm going to show you in the original repair series. So what was done is they raptor lined the roof, then put some sort of rubberized paint over top of it, and it did not work well, especially with that plywood they used. It was already starting to bubble, and I had to peel it all out and repair it. And then I put some underlay down first, because you need that for the barrier. And then siliconed all my seams in my aluminum, and then put her all down. And so far it's been working out. Using rubberized paint on the roof might have seemed like a great idea, but no, it's not the case. I sheeted it with aluminum, vapor barrier underneath of course, and it seemed to work out really well. For the roof seams, this is the stuff I picked up off Amazon, and it actually works extremely well, and it's paintable. Because I rubberized the roof afterwards, it applies really runny, and it works good because it just seeps into every hole. So where if you use like regular caulking, it's not going to seep in, where this stuff is really runny. So if there's a gap or something, it's going to like seep right inside. And it's worked out really well. I've had no issues since I've applied it. Also with the wiring, if you guys remember, there used to be like a 7-pin trailer wiring harness, which actually wasn't even hooked up properly, and all the wire colors were all backwards. I mean, when you do it yourself and you don't wire it correctly, you kind of understand what's going on, but when someone else has to take care of the problem and dive in deeply, you have to start troubleshooting and wasting a whole bunch of extra time getting all the wires sorted out so you don't plug it in and you have an issue. This trailer is equipped with a diesel heater, which actually has been working out quite well. I put the diesel heater tank on the outside. That's how it was originally built. A lot of people didn't like it, but I've had no issues with it. Also, of course, when you hook up a diesel heater, don't put your intake and exhaust close by, so the exhaust is on the driver's side. And then actually the intake, our fresh air vents here. So there's a little cavity in the back, so you're not going to be sucking in the exhaust fumes and carbon monoxide poisoning yourself. Definitely the most important part of your trailer build is going to be make sure all your edges are protected. Like I said, I put the checker plating on the bottom for protection. I went from the frame to 6 inches or more going up the wood. This side obviously is higher, and it's worked out pretty awesome so far. I'm still torn on the Toolbox. I'm not a fan of the Toolbox. It works great for storage, but they're just not designed for this type of purpose. You're going off road, they're getting banged up, you're putting shit in and out. You know, it's not uncommon. Yeah, once you like open it up and you know you're leaning inside and the structural integrity starts to get bent up and all of a sudden it's not closing properly. I might actually redesign something this coming year and build like a box where I could have a slide out cooler in the front and then storage up top. I have encountered some situations where you're in some deep ruts, and when the trailer comes down for articulation with the off-road hitch, that I find that these corners have dug into the ground quite hard. And even though I reinforced that box on the frame, one of these times I'm probably going to dig her in pretty good and do some damage. So if I could build a new thing where the cutout follows the angle of the trailer and then build it up a little bit higher, I think something like that would work out. One thing this trailer was built with without any consideration is for a spare tire. I don't have a spare tire for this thing, nor is there a spare tire mount for this. And I think honestly this winter, I'll probably build a spare tire carrier in this section of real estate in the corner, because that way I could put it underneath too, but then I run the risk of it hitting the ground, being exposed to the elements, and at least if it's on the side, if I need to change a tire quickly, I can rip it off and on. Have I been happy with this trailer? Absolutely. It's been a total game changer for me camping. There are pros and cons, of course, to everything. For long trips, I probably won't want to take the trailer. If I'm going to do any kind of like moderate to serious off-roading, I definitely don't want to take the trailer. I have encountered a few situations where luckily my backup skills are good, because you get yourself in some situations where you can't get turned around and you have to back yourself out. You also want to make sure you have a winch on your vehicle as well, because I came into a situation where I got stuck in a mud hole and the trailer acts like an anchor once you get in there. So shut her down a winch, I was able to pull myself right out and drag the trailer through the mud. All was well. Other than that, it seems to be holding up quite well. I haven't encountered any other issues, any kind of structural problems. Trailer is working as it should. Super comfortable inside. The insulation's really well, because now that the nights are getting colder, it's been actually keeping pretty warm inside, and I don't need to run the diesel heater that long to get it up to temperature inside, and all of a sudden it's too hot and I got to shut her down. I am the third owner of this trailer, and of course every owner before me had their own vision and took it to the step where they're comfortable with, and I took it to the step where I'm happy with it. And of course, when I go to sell it, somebody else will probably take it to the next level that they're going to enjoy it. If there's anything major I was going to do to the trailer, I would probably remove the axle underneath and go with an off-road suspension instead of having an axle underneath. That way I'm not dragging it through the ground in case if I get hung up on something. Just out of curiosity, for those who've watched this build, what would have you guys have done different? What would have been your vision for this trailer if you guys had purchased it? I'd like to know in the comments below. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and we're gonna crack open a motherfucking beer time. All right, it's motherfucking beer time. We got some Red Truck beer, Road Trip Classic Lager. But first, I gotta get a fire going. So far this fire's pretty weak. A lot of smoke. Had to use some dino juice to get her to burn. Recently had some snow and it's been melting, so everything is soaked. Alright, motherfucking beer time. My fire's slowly going. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I hope it gave you some insight if you decide to build your own. Take care. I'll see you guys in the next one.